So today we are here to learn how to draw levels of support and levels of resistance. A support in the market is an area that attracts buying pressure, an area at which we see markets bouncing. It's like we call it a floor of the market. And the resistance in the market is like a ceiling in the market. Now, for purposes of convenience and for purposes of learning, I'll start by removing the levels on my chart so that I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. But before I remove them, look at the points I'm going to mark. I'm starting by marking points that connect a level of resistance. That point, and that point indicate resistance. This point, and that point were connected to get a support level. Now we're going to learn that and more. We're also going to learn how do we identify these levels of support and how do we draw them, especially with our gadgets, with our different gadgets. So let's get started. So before we get started, I'll tell you a few things. That one, thank you for those who have subscribed to this channel, and two, for those of you in our membership classes, some of you on the membership site, some of you who attend these physical classes here in Africa, Uganda, Kampala to be in particular, we've interacted and I've told you most of the things, and so I'm going to say them again, and also for others who are here for the very first time, stay tuned. You're going to learn how to trade support and resistance, and you start trading like real professionals. You will never gamble in these markets once you understand some of these basics. So to start, I'll start by removing these lines on my chart so that we can draw our own. So I remove this line. I've removed it. I'll also remove this one. I've removed it. And so we're going to draw our own lines. Another point to note is that when you're drawing these levels of support and resistance, it is important to draw them from the higher time frames. The higher time frames include the monthly chart. We have the weekly chart. Then from the weekly chart, we can go to the daily chart, the 4-hour chart, then the 1-hour chart. But like we've said, we start from the higher time frames. We shall draw especially from the weekly, monthly, and the daily charts. Now, those levels, after drawing them from such time frames, we can always come down and see how they help, how we can trade them on the lower time frames. Okay, so to draw a level on your chart, you simply touch in your screen, like you've seen. I've touched the screen, and on the sides you can see, on the left hand side I can see time frames, and on the right hand side you're seeing icons. We shall be learning one by one. So to start with, let me click on the monthly chart. You can see that I've clicked the icon on the left hand side, and it's the last dot, it's MN, that's monthly. So I've clicked on the monthly chart. Then I scroll my chart. Now I'm going to draw a level of resistance. A level of resistance, I just told you, a resistance is like a ceiling in the market. So what we do is we identify some market peaks. We identify points that where the market reached and reflected and went downwards. In other words, we identify points that help us identify that ceiling, a ceiling which is like a zone. So we can see that this point, you can see I'm marking, I said that point, this point, and that point, they are almost at the same level. So I'm going to draw there a line, and that line is going to be called a resistance line. Why? Because every time the market touched any of those points, this market went down. And because there was potential for selling pressure at those areas, we call it a resistance line. Although when we come to the lower time frames, we shall be seeing that these resistance lines are good, they are better treated as zones. So let's draw a line there. So I touch on my screen and I get the icons I told you. You see this icon on the right hand side, that icon with a head and a triangular base. You can see that icon right hand side with a head like something like round and a triangular base. So I touch it. When I touch that icon, I get this screen. Then I'm going to touch on the horizontal line, which is this one. I touch it and then I place it on my screen. I simply touch on my screen. I placed on my screen. Having placed it, then I need to adjust it. I need to adjust it to pick out the tops I told you about it. So we want us to pick out this top, that top, and that top. So I touch on the line, I get those extreme dots on the end. You see those extreme white dots? So once I have those extreme dots, it means my line is able to move. So I touch the line and I drag it. As you can see, now I'm moving it. So I'm able to place that line on these three, on the three peaks of the market. So we said the market peaked here, it peaked there, and it peaked there. Before you draw a level, all we need is just two things. We just need two things. We just need 2 points. You just need 2 points at which the market peaked and touched. So you can see the market touched this point and the market touched that point. And that's enough. Of course, here, the more the points, the better. Now, by good chance, we even have a third point there. So it means that the level we are having here is very, very strong. Now, we are calling it a level of resistance when the market is moving from down. For example, I'm going to mark all the points I'm going to mark. Check the points I'm marking on my screen. These points are below the level I just drew. So when the market is climbing upwards, moving from the lower zones to the higher zones, and it meets that line that I've drawn at 2072.48, we are now meeting a level of resistance. So it means that this line is now a level of resistance. I can even edit this line just to give it a color. Let me call it, give it a color red. Yes. So I've given it a color red. You can see it is touching that point, and that point. So it's a level of resistance. And we are saying a resistance is a line that attracts selling pressure. And you can see every time the market touched there, the market went lower. We have also said that to draw this line, to draw these levels, you just need to get 2 points at which that market touches the line. So it has touched there, it has touched there. Here we said by good chance we had a third point, so that's a level of resistance. Now let's draw another line. Another line, we want to see a point where the market touches. We just said we just need 2 touches. So when I look at this market, you can look at my pointers, that point. I said that point and that point. We are seeing them at almost the same level. Being at the same level, it means we can draw there a line. So let me still go. I click on my screen. I get the other icon on the right hand side with the head and the triangular base. I touch it. I still pick my horizontal line. Then I bring it and I throw it on my screen. When I do it on my screen, remember, I want it to join to this point and to that point. To differentiate support from resistance, I will edit this line and give it maybe color blue, and it's done. So it's now color blue. We can see that our support line touch that point and also touch this point. So from what we are seeing, we can see that a support level was able to touch 2 bottoms in this case. But for learning purposes, you'll also know that a level to be called a level, a support can become resistance and resistance can become a support level. I'll explain that here. Now look at my screen where I'm touching. You see where I've touched 3 times. That point, because when the market was coming from below that line, below the blue line, below the line 1683, it came, touched that level acted as resistance. So we expected the market to find selling pressure at that point. But then what happened? Yes, indeed it is true. You can see we had some small selling there, but was not sustainable. Of course, in the future, as you keep watching some of these videos, those of you who revise the past videos, and those who keep following and subscribing and listening to all the new videos we shall be posting, I will teach you how exactly, when do we enter a trade? How do you know that a level is going to hold? So in this case, you can see that at this point I've just marked, the market did not hold there. And as you can see, since we're in the monthly chart, the 3 months stayed at that level, but the 4th month there broke and went above the level. Now, once the market breaks a support level and goes above it, it means that that level has now become support, but it was initially resistance. Remember, I told you when the market was coming from the bottom, rising upwards and reached the level 1683, the level marked blue, that was the resistance level. On breaking it, the level turned into support. It means that when it becomes a support, it now has the potential to push this market high. it can push it high. You can see now it pushed it to the next level, which is now the red marked level at 2072, and when it touched there, the market now started falling. We can see now it fell, came and touched our level again of 1683, now was pushed up to touch 2072 at this point, and that point again pushed it lower, so the market kept bouncing between levels of support and resistance. Now again, look at where I'm marking. I've marked there about 3 or 4 times. That point was initial resistance when the market was coming, when the market candles were coming from below it. So before the market reached that zone at 2072, that zone was acting as resistance. But you can see that we have a big green candle that broke it. When they broke it, now we say that the level of resistance has turned into support. So at that level, so it's no longer acting as resistance, but now will be acting as support. Now, I will be explaining that and more, especially in our subsequent videos, but I talk about these things every day in our membership in our membership channel. And okay, for now, let's look at want to draw more levels. We just said we just need points where the market touches. Now look at this point and that point. We can see that when I still touch my screen and I touch that icon with the head and the triangular base, I touch it, I pick the horizontal line, I draw a line. I've drawn a line. I'm scrolling backwards to identify the points I told you. I said this point and that point. So in this case, these points were acting as resistance because the market comes from below the point. So the point is the points connecting this line at 1373. So the market comes from below that line, reaches there and then reaches there, and every time it touches there, the market moves lower. So I can turn this line into I can turn it red, since we said I'm taking red to be my resistance. So when I scroll, you can see, let me just adjust it to fit very well. It is right there. Okay, it has fit now. So it has joined that point. It has joined that point. So now those are we just said we just need 2 points to get our level of support or our level of resistance. So far we've been able to draw 3 lines, and these lines have been drawn on a monthly chart. Now let's go to the weekly chart and see how these levels look like. So you can see here, this is a monthly chart. We have the 3 lines, the red, the blue, and the red. It's red, this is blue, and this is red. And we say that each time we drew these lines, we just ensured that the line was touching at least 2 peaks or 2 bottoms of the market. And that's how we identify support and resistance in these markets. Those levels you just draw have a very high potential to either push this market lower or to push it higher in trading. And we also need to learn these, we need to understand these levels, because later they will help us to make entries. They'll help us in risk management, that's in placing stop losses and the like. We shall be explaining all the things in our coming videos, much as we've talked about these ones also in our physical classes and in the previous videos, but we shall keep talking about them because it's important we learn trading to the detail. So I'll touch the screen again so I can get the other icons on the left hand side. I'm going to the lower time frame now. I've been in the monthly chart. Now let's look at the weekly chart and see what it's saying and see the levels we drew and how they look like on the weekly chart. So if I can zoom, I've just zoomed in a bit. Okay, now you can see that on the weekly chart, the level 2072, it is touching that point, and that point. So that's how significant that level is. Much as it was drawn on the monthly chart, we can see that it is still equally very significant on the weekly chart. So you can see the level was we were able to draw the level. Now we also look at the support level we drew. We said we just need to look at points that we can connect, and 2 points or 3. but we said once we have 2, that's enough. So the support level is drawn in blue. We can see we had the point of contact there, we have a 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 point of contact there, even here. So we can see that this level drawn on the monthly chart becomes extremely important on the weekly chart. So we can see that now, even on the weekly chart, once we have that point, and that point, even if we hadn't drawn this line on the monthly chart, we could still come lower to the weekly chart and have the line drawn, and this line will help us in trading. Now, of course, some of you are wondering why you're seeing something like this one here, and then the market did not. Now we shall also explain this one and how it helps us in trading. For example, here we had a small false break here. The market came from up, comes from there, drops down, sells, meaning here this was a ceiling in red. The market sold, and when reached these levels, it broke, went below it, but later it broke back above it. Such a false breakout will give us very good opportunities. For those of you who are on our membership channel, I share these things every day, and you know how we trade. So we just said that this level of support. Okay, now let's go to a lower time frame, that is the daily, and see how these levels are working out. So in the daily chart, I'll make it even smaller so you can see. For example, the market touched there, the market touched there. We can see the market touches there before it finally broke out. You can see on the daily chart, we were able to catch this move at this point. The way I'm marking, you're able to catch a move as it starts to play out. So, and that will be the importance of top-down analysis, because we are able to draw levels from the higher charts. So when we come to the lower time frames, we shall be able to catch these entries as they start. Now, but for now, we are simply focusing on being able to draw the levels of support and the levels of resistance. How to trade them will come in the next videos. Make sure you keep subscribed and always keep watching. Comment in our comment sections, and so we can always make our videos better, and make sure we can help you better, and so you can learn trading better, and you can become consistently profitable traders. So this has been the daily chart. Now let me go back to the weekly chart. I said I also teach you how to draw some kind of trend lines. When you go to the weekly chart and weekly chart, for example, you can see a market touches there and the market touches there. You see the points I'm marking. So I simply still touch my screen. I come and pick out that icon with the head and the triangular base. I touch it. This time I'm picking a trend line. You see that slanting line, the third from my left, that slanting line. I place it on my screen and I move the finger. So it's you place on the screen and move it. Now I come, I want to connect, remember I want to connect this point and that point. So I come, I pick that line, and you can see me moving it. These are just fine adjustments, which you can also do just to ensure that I have that trend line. So you learn how to draw these trend lines. Okay, so we have it like that. Like that, so it's drawn. It's okay, that's enough. Okay, so we can see the market touches there and touches there. Now what's going to happen is we don't know what time the market will take before it returns to touch this trend line again, but when we expect that when the market touches that trend line, this trend line in this case is acting as a support level because the market is above it, and we see that the market here, it bounced, it also bounces there. So actually, should this market retrace to come and touch that level again, it will be a level of support. It can touch a resistance, it can touch a support level. Now that red line, of course, the 2072 has now turned into support. So should the market retrace we'll be making a retest. It can come and retest the 2072, it will be retesting this as a new support. And when retesting it, the market will have a potential of pushing it back upwards. If it touches the trend line, it still has the same effect. and we shall simply learn more on how to take trades at support and how to take trades at trend lines. But it was very important for you to start by learning how they are drawn. Let's try to identify another level on our chart. You can look for another level or a trend line. For example, I'll look at a point like this one and this one. That one formed a trend line. If I go to my icon, like I said, pick a trend line, I'll come. Of course, you put on the screen. I keep moving it. Okay, I've brought it here. When I bring it, I connect. As you can see, I'm trying to connect. I connect that. I've connected that point and that point, and connecting them like that. So you can see the market bounced there, it bounces there, and again bounces there. So that line I've been able to draw is called a trend line, and these ones are called support. It's a trend line support. Now the same can be done for resistances if you identify them on charts. I want this video to be short. This is already being too long, but this helps us be able to draw levels on our charts. A trend line, like we said, drawing any levels, you just need 2 points. So once you identify this point and that point, and then you can place a line slanting like you can see it, we've drawn our trend line. This time it's a trend line support. So I can also draw a trend line resistance. Let me see and find any 2 points. I can now even remove this one just to avoid overclogging our chart. Can remove some of these points, some of these lines. I've removed them. So when you're drawing trend line resistances, you identify points on the market. There are peaks this time, but now again we shall have a slanting line. For example, if you look at this point, this one, and that one, yes, this point and that point, there are two that they're giving us 2 market peaks. So we can use those 2 peaks to draw a line of resistance. So still, if I go to my chart, to my icons, I pick that icon with the head and triangular base. I pick a slanting line. Once you pick a line and draw it on the screen, now you have it. Then I just want to find those the levels we identified. Just scrolling it here. We identified that the market. We identified that this and this made a peak, so I can come and move this line. It is touching there. It can touch here. So once the line can touch that point and that point, that's a trend line. But this time to be acting as trend line resistance, and another person could draw it to touch this peak. So in that case, you'd readjust this. You adjust that to get that. So this point and this point have helped us draw a trend line. So that's how they draw trend lines on the market. So you don't force them. You make sure the 2 points you're connecting are touching. So they must touch. So I can now also remove it. So now these levels I've just drawn. So your ability to draw trend lines, the trend line can be a support, can be resistance, and your ability to draw support and resistance in the markets will help you in trading. Once you are able to draw these lines in the market, once you're able to draw a support, once you're able to draw a resistance, it will help you to make trading decisions, because then you will know that you're going to enter a market at support or you're going to enter a market at resistance, and you'll minimize the losses and you'll minimize the chances of getting it wrong in the market. And even if you get it wrong in the market, your losses will be minimized because you're just next to a level of support, you're just next to a level of resistance. So until next time, please subscribe to our channel so that when we shoot the next videos, they will help you in identifying some of the spots. In our next video, the video will be about how do we make exact entries from support and how do we make exact entries from resistance. And those are the kind of lessons we shoot here at Money Markets. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so that you're always notified every time we post this kind of videos. Keep learning and keep growing your trading as a business. Remember, trading is a career. I love it, and it has a learning curve, and please accept to follow the process. Thank you very much.